So autistic inertia is something a lot of people don't know too much about. It seems to be a term we've adopted fairly recently. Inertia essentially is the capacity for momentum to gather. So autistic inertia refers to the inability of something to start or then something to stop once it's started, once it's got momentum. It's hard to transition. We often call it transition difficulty. So it might be people who don't want to get in the shower, but then don't want to get out of the shower. It could be, your little person wants to go to the shops, but when you're at home and so you say, okay, let's go to the shops, they don't want to go and they crack right up. Or they're at the shops and then it's like, go home, and they don't want to go home. So that's actually called autistic inertia. Knowing that means we can unlock some of the things to do about it. Inertia comes from the place of that monotropic polarized thought pattern that most autistic people like myself have, where we get so hyper-focused in things that all of our brain is on this topic, compared to polytropic neurotypical brains, which can focus on so many different things all at the same time. So because of our polarized monotropic brains, every part of our brain is in whatever we're doing. So moving us out of that is really hard. And they call that the tendril theory, where all of our little tendrils are on one thing. So we're having to transfer all of the tendrils over to something different. Makes it really hard. And that's why inertia is so difficult. One of the best strategies that I've sort of told people and that I use myself is I don't ever focus on transition. Oh, that makes you feel sick. So I once heard someone say that transition for an autistic person feels like you've just locked yourself out of your house 3 days, your phone's left inside, and you've accidentally just posted all your nudes to your Facebook. So it feels sickening. Transition feels sickening. So one of the ways to respond to that is actually to talk about the next thing without announcing a transition. So don't be like, right, now we're going to do something different. Now we're going home from the shops. Transition, announced, no. Instead of that, be like, oh, what game are you going to play when we get home tonight? What are you going to do? Are you going to be on your iPad, or you're playing that game on, how does that game go again? Is that the one where you won the magic sword? Oh, so hang on, how do you catch the monster? And get the next thing in that child's head or adult's head. Even with an adult, it can be, they don't want to do the gardening. It'd be like, how are you going to actually plan that arrangement of plants there? Are you going to use this? Are you going to use that? When you get that in the head, then it's like you've already transitioned the person's brain, and that's the hardest part of transition, the brain going from one thing to another. So when you talk about it like that, you've actually helped the person with the transition. Remember, the autistic brain is extremely purpose-built. So we don't manage change because why should we? But we do manage, we have to do that. So get it in our heads, and it's really, really helpful. So that's one of the best ways to respond to autistic inertia or that issue with transition, is get it in the brain first, and it helps the person actually transition.